What is up, guys? New Guys Podcast, episode 19. I want to say episode 19.
19.
It's been a while. We've got a whole lot to talk about today. Straying from the theme, a couple previous episodes, but we want to open it up with Ask the New Guys. We threw something on the Instagram page earlier, just asking for people to drop some questions that we'd answer it on the pod. So this one is from Connor_1B on Instagram, and he asked, "What are the chances that the NFL season gets played?" And I think that there's a 100% chance that they start week 1. I think there's a 100% chance that week 1 happens. But I think it's a very different question as to, do I think that the season will be played in its entirety? I think that there's a lot to be said about that one way or the other. Jordan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think that week 1 is guaranteed. Almost, if it's not 100%, it's 99%. Just because I can't foresee anything that would that would make Roger Goodell lose money when he could quite easily play week 1. And I think once you start getting maybe into, medical experts and everything are saying, like, towards the flu season, it could get bad just because you mix the flu and the coronavirus with everything. It doesn't, bode well. So maybe when cases start going back up in the winter and, shit hits the fan, if we don't get, it under control, then I could see maybe a suspension of the season or something. But again, the NFL they're easily the most profitable league out of every major sports league. And Goodell is not going to, quite frankly, let player safety, honestly, get in the way, I feel like, of playing week 1, which is a horrible thing to say, but I feel like he's that sadistic. So, yeah, I'd agree. You pretty much wrapped it up fine. That I think week 1's 100%. And then after that is honestly a coin flip, I feel like, because anything can happen at this point. So
you say that, and I definitely I think it's going to happen now that you say that. But to what extent, I think it's definitely going to happen because look at all the mistakes the MLB's making. The NBA is not really making any, besides Lou Williams. We'll get into him later. The NHL is just starting up, so they're still getting used to the water a little bit. Yeah, there you go.
Canes, baby.
But the August starts Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, and the NFL's got a whole month to pick up on these mistakes that they're making and try and make their product better, not just in terms of quality and in terms of getting fans, having the energy there, but in terms of player safety. They're definitely going to pick up on a lot of stuff for that. So I think what they should do is they should play up to October, the end of October. So around week 8 is the end of October, and then take it week by week. Don't make every week guaranteed. Have the second half of the season. Have a plan for the first half of the season. So if you're just going to play the first 8 weeks and then go into the playoffs or whatever, you got to take a little break. Definitely do that. But take it week by week once the winter comes, because you don't want to guarantee anything and then everything gets shut down, So
yeah,
that's my take on it.
Here's my thing I agree with all basically what you guys said. Definitely, start of the season is pretty much, I think, barring anything major that happens, a walk. But the problem is, like Anthony was saying, you kind of got to play it obviously week by week, day by day, because especially once you get into the November, December, playoff football, obviously January and February, those are the worst months really for something like this to reoccur, like a second wave, if there's no vaccine by then, which it doesn't really look like there will be. So I'd say the first couple weeks you could pretty much mark it down. They're going to try to get those games in no matter what. But all it really takes, like we saw with the NBA, once Rudy Gobert got it, the whole league practically shut down in one night. Yeah. So it's really, really sensitive here as well.
I'll never forget that night.
That's crazy.
Wild.
3/11 day. Always a good day.
And one thing we were talking in the Ride the Wave chat earlier, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about hub cities and how the NFL could make it work. But there's such a drastic difference between the NBA and the NHL playing their playoffs in a hub city compared to the NFL playing their entire 4-month season in a bubble. You know what I mean? So it's and not only that, the NFL teams are bigger. There's more of them. You would need multiple fields in one city to be able to play. All NFL, regulated and everything. So it just, like I can't foresee them finishing the season, honestly. Just because I don't think they're going to go the Hub City route because it's too challenging. But like you said, Anthony, we saw what happened. The MLB, now we've got the Miami Marlins exploding with cases, and no one wants to go to Florida right now.
Mhm.
And that's, honestly, one of the big problems you have with traveling. That's where everything starts, hitting the fan, just because, you're not able to seclude everyone in one area and, test everyone at the same time every day. So yeah, I can't foresee it, the season finishing out, which really sucks, but.
Yeah, and I think that's that on that. So moving on into baseball, like you were just talking about the Marlins, last night we had an incident in the Dodgers-Astros game where Joe Kelly, who wasn't even on the Dodgers at the time when the Dodgers and Astros were in the World Series against each other, he threw at Bregman on a 3-0 count, and he threw at Carlos Correa. And he didn't hit either of them, but he threw at both of them. Probably intentionally. There's a little bit of a conspiracy theory that Barstool started, but it was most likely intentionally. Then he struck out Correa, made a face at him on the way back to the dugout, and then bench is cleared. And personally, I think it was a pretty kick-ass move from Joe Kelly. But the thing that I have a problem with is that he got suspended for 8 games for not even hitting somebody. He didn't get tossed out of the game, as far as I remember. I don't think he did. Yeah.
No, I don't think he got tossed.
And especially in a 60-game season, 8 games was a whole lot more. Like, it's the equivalent of 22 games in a regular season, which is ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
And so, Anthony, I know you're not a baseball guy, but I'm sure that you had something to think about, what he did there.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really see what was happening, but I did read a lot on it, and it's really split. Everyone I know is on John Kelly's side, but I'm really trying to keep up with baseball. I got to do a better job. I'm honest, yeah, but the Sox are playing. I'm keeping up with the Sox right now.
And we're not even going to mention that because, oh my gosh, it's disappointing. Our bullpen is garbage.
Yeah. One thing I was like, and I agree, everyone I've seen is on Joe Kelly's side. Pretty much every baseball fan, because every baseball fan hates the Astros now.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting. Like, Joe Kelly had no connection with. I mean, he was on our team when we played in 2018. When we played them. Yeah. But he has no connection when the Astros were like winning the world, like with the Dodgers or anything when they won the World Series. So there's no dismay there. So it's literally just, you've got to think it's just about the whole, garbage can.
He wanted the clout.
Yeah.
Did was that the year the Astros beat us in the playoffs, or was that the year before? Was it 2016?
It was
because we lost to the Indians. That was the year.
I don't think we made the playoffs in 2016.
2017 we lost to the Astros, I'm pretty sure, and then we came back and beat them the next year.
Well, 2016 was Poppy's last year. I remember we.
Oh yeah.
True. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a strong connection. But I was wondering that. I thought I remember that right. But,
yeah, the suspension to Kelly is ridiculous. Like you said, Graham, it's 20. It's 21 games or 22 games in the grand scheme of a 162 game season, exactly. And that's ridiculous for not even hitting.
Not even hitting somebody. Exactly.
And you've got to think that Manfred already knows why they're going after the Astros. Obviously, it's common sense.
Everyone knows.
And it's whether, now you got to think that our pitcher's going to be more careful. Our pitcher's going to be more careful, about throwing at them or hitting them because they know what comes down, especially the teams that are in contention, Like if you have a starter, I don't know, we'll take Jake DeGrom since we're playing the Mets. If he throws at an Astros player, and he gets suspended for, 6 or 7 games, that could be a start. And then maybe that's, pretty detrimental to the Mets. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting. I hope it doesn't deter anyone away from, throwing out their, lower extremities and not drilling them in the head, because we don't want that. But they definitely deserve some type of punishment, because Bregman's smug ass look and Correa and Altuve playing it off like it was nothing. I certainly want to see. I don't know if the Red Sox, we do play them, right? Sometime.
I don't think we do have them this year. Hold on, I've got the schedule in here.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, we don't play Houston this year.
So I'm hoping any team, bro, the Yankees, I don't give a shit who you are, please. Drill one of Bregman, Altuve, or Correa, because all 3 of them deserve it. Just hit one of them. Just take the 6 games, 7 games, whatever it may be, and make everyone happy.
Here's the thing: it's like I get that throwing at the head is awful and whatever. Like I don't support that no matter what, even if it is the Astros. But that being said, I mean the equivalent of 22 games, like in a regular MLB season, I don't really know what the suspension would be for throwing at the head, but I know it wouldn't be 22 games. So I feel like
Be like 5 or 6.
yeah. So I feel like if you're not going to do the equivalent, then you're kind of just kind of fucking the Dodgers, even though it might not hurt that bad from the suspension, but even still.
He didn't even get tossed from the game. He got suspended for something he didn't get ejected for. That's ridiculous to me.
Makes sense at all.
Well, and also if you look at the pitch, Kelly, so it was a 3-0 count when he threw at Bregman, and you could argue that he didn't even mean to throw at him. Like if you look at the way he opened up in his pitch, it looked like the fastball just got away.
That's why I said it was conspiracy theories.
Yeah, like I'd hesitate to say that Kelly. I'd like to think he didn't intentionally throw at someone's head because I'd like to think every pitcher. I mean, that could theoretically kill someone if you hit him hard enough in the head of the right spot. So yeah, I'd like to think no pitcher would actually intentionally go after someone's head. So like even that, I mean, Manfred's got to put everything into context. If he's going to put the whole Astros situation into play, he's got to also look at the count. He's got to look at how Kelly's mechanics were that pitch. Would he really go after someone's head? Like, there's got to be other things he looked at. I don't think Manfred looked at any of that. He just threw 8 Gapes on him and hopefully, kind of quelled the fire that, is starting to explode with the Astros.
Yeah.
Example number 1,000 why Rob Manfred's an absolute clown.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Worst
commission.
he looks really bad right now.
Yeah.
Somebody who does not look really bad right now is me. Because if you
There
recall,
we go. I knew this was coming. I didn't know when it was going to come,
Here we
but I
go.
knew it was coming.
Yep.
I'm never going to hear the end of this.
I called Jamal Adams to the Seahawks
You did.
over a month ago. Over a
Great.
month ago, I called it.
I just want to say something. If you watch the video back after you said that, I gave it a little nod. So I'd also say I called it too.
Yeah,
but you agreed with him.
I mentioned
you
it
agreed
first.
with him. That's it.
I don't care.
Yeah. No,
I mentioned it first. And if you listen even farther, I called what they get for him too. I mentioned
called
2
exactly
firsts.
what they got for him.
No, I said it's at least 2 firsts, and then further on down the line, I mentioned a 3rd round pick or another player, and they got 2 firsts, a 3rd, and another safety. I forget the guy's name, but he.
I do remember you talking about the 2 firsts, like
Yeah, because the Jalen Ramsey deal was the
Right.
baseline. But
Right.
if we want to get into that, like the Seahawks, I think it was a great move. I think it was an absolutely amazing move from the Seahawks because they needed somebody to bring back, the safety position. Because when they lost Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, like they haven't really had a solid safety since those 2 departed. And I mean, Shaquille Griffin is pretty good at the cornerback spot. But their secondary is lagging behind the rest of their defense right now, which is something they're not used to in Seattle.
Yeah.
And so, especially if they can bring back Clowney, I think that Seahawks defense is worlds better than it would have been if they had just gone in without Jamal Adams, even though you're giving up 2 first-round picks. But, I mean, it's the Seahawks. They're going to be in the playoffs one way or the other. What does it really matter? So I think that it was an incredible move. And, Pat, I see you looking something up right now.
Let's fix
Head over here.
that list. I'm doing some final editing.
What do the Seahawks really do with their first-round picks anyway, though?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Whole lot of nothing. They're
From
kind of
what
like
I've
A
seen,
whole lot of nothing, exactly.
Here's the
So-
thing with those, with that move. Like, remember back when they had Cam Chancellor? Obviously, it sucks what happened to him with his neck or whatever he hurt.
Yeah.
But people were shitting their pants when they had this guy's 6'4", whatever, 235. He would literally knock out tight ends on a weekly basis.
Oh, yeah, he could hit.
yeah.
Like Jamal
Yeah.
Adams, who can deliver the boomstick like nobody else. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to go too into it. I don't know all the specifics of it, but I mean, like Graham was saying, it's just an outstanding move from Seattle, and they just put themselves, I think, at the top of the NFC if they weren't already.
I think this is one of those trades where you can't really point to a loser just because both the positions the teams were in were the Seahawks are in that position where one player, whether it be on offense or defense, pushes them in further into Super Bowl contention. They're obviously Russell Wilson's, I'm not going to say getting old, but he's in his 30s now. So he wants another Super Bowl. He wants one quick.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the Jets, obviously, they weren't going to plan on signing Jamal Adams back. He probably didn't want to go back to New York because, it's New York. Sorry, Anthony. I meant the Jets.
I'm aware. I'm aware.
And so they get two. I mean, that's a haul. You could even hesitate to say the Jets got more than what a lot of people thought they were going to get. I know you did say, Graham, 2 first-round picks, but I definitely would have said if the Jets can grab 2 first-round picks and a third out of there and get a player with it, you should absolutely pull the trigger. And I honestly think the Jets, like I said, definitely came out with the best possible takeaway that they could have.
Wait till they fix those firsts.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I think the Jets have the biggest potential to be losers of the trade compared to Seattle, just because I don't have faith in the Jets management to take advantage of those picks.
Yeah.
What do they have? 3 first-round picks now?
Probably.
They have 2. I think it's 2 for next year, and then I think one of them was a 2022 first-round pick, if I'm not mistaken.
They've got 5 first-rounders in the next 3 years.
Well, and who knows?
So
Go ahead, Anthony.
Do you think I don't know. I think Babs posted it or something about not Jamal Adams, Trevor Lawrence ending up in New York. How realistic do you guys think that is?
That's what I was going to say. Like, people are always like, well, they're not going to be great drafters and stuff, but that gives them more ammo for trades, and who knows if
he's one of those first to trade up.
Yeah, exactly. Or use them and a player to trade up. They have a lot of ammo now, and so if they're able to turn
what player
those
are they going to trade?
Yeah, I mean,
that's true.
I don't know.
Quincy Enunwa?
I don't know. I don't know where Le'Veon Bell's position is on the team. Like, I know he's an elite running back.
Yeah.
But it just seems like he doesn't fit with them, just because he belongs on a freaking contender, and they're not, obviously not going to be a contender for a little bit.
And more importantly, he belongs on a team with a good offensive line.
Yeah.
That's why he was so good on the Steelers. He had that little hesitation, and nobody ran like him. Yeah. And when you're on the Jets, you can't do that.
Yeah. So I could see him maybe not packaged in a draft pick deal, but if they move on from him and they could throw a first in and get a absolute stud, or even maybe get the first overall pick if they don't end up with it this year, that would definitely be well worth it, just from losing Jamal Adams. And it all goes back to the talk of, like, on a shitty team, does a safety really make a huge difference in your on whether you're going to win 8 games or 12 games? Like, not really.
Yeah.
With the Seahawks, it's like that gives them an elite defense, or closer to an elite defense, and it allows them to maybe get 1 or 2 more wins just because of the impact he has. But I think Jamal Adams on the Jets defense was a waste of talent, both for the Jets and then in general. So, like I said,
that's a hard pill to swallow for Jets fans. And I just want to address the Jets fans, because I live here in New York, as Jordan nodded to earlier. If the Jets management plays their cards right, this is going to be the best trade they'll ever make, honestly. Because you go up and get if you play your cards right in the draft this next year, it can turn around your entire franchise. I mean, and I get it. People felt so betrayed because Jamal Adams was the New York Jets. Like, everywhere you turn, it'd be Jamal Adams and Saquon Barkley. Those are the 2 faces of New York football, whether it's the Giants or the Jets. And I can see why Jets fans feel betrayed here, because he was their star. He was that star player. Now that they have nobody, kind of leaves them feeling a little insecure with the Jets front office. They're a little infamous for screwing up their draft. But if they play their cards right, they're definitely going to win this, and there's going to be happier days, as much as that pains me to say for Jets fans.
Yeah.
I want to see – I mean, I don't want to see it because I'm a Pats fan. I don't want to see the Jets succeed ever. But Jamar Chase on the Jets, that'd be a great pick.
That'd be great if Sam Darnold had time to throw the ball.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Something that was funny is I didn't even remember the Jets went 7-9 last year, but
it seemed like they were way worse than that.
Their schedule was probably not good. They had the Dolphins twice, obviously, but other 7-9 teams were the Colts, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Falcons. But the Jets just seem so much worse than all those teams. Yeah. And I'm sure next year they will be, no doubt. But I mean, let's say Sam Darnold didn't, fuck around and get mono the first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Mono maybe.
True.
They could have gone probably 9-7 or something. Interestingly enough.
And I don't know how much their defense obviously got miles worse from having Adams, leave. But
right.
I mean, they're gonna have Sam Darnold healthy for this is all we're saying this thinking the season plays out, fully.
Normally.
They're gonna have Darnold for the entire season. and they'll have Le'Veon Bell, and I think their offensive line got a couple of improvements. I don't know specifically who they got, but
They
I think
missed out on Jack Conklin, which was a big loss for Jets fans because he went to Cleveland, and all the Jets fans were like, all right, let's get this dude. That was the guy for them, and they missed out on him.
Yeah. But I think in general, you could say looks like they've improved on the offensive end, maybe a little bit more. So, like Pat said, if they hadn't missed Darnold for 5 or 6 games, whatever it was, you could chalk maybe 2 or 3 more wins on there, and they're a 500 team for the first time in, forever. I just want to update you guys on the Red Sox. Anthony's watching too.
I'm watching.
Workman's pitching. There's 2 guys on, bottom of the 9th. We're up 2, and there's a guy on first and second with no outs. So Workman's currently blowing this game. If there's a base hit here, we're in a lot of fucking trouble. But we'll let you guys know. You guys that are listening will already know what happened. But
well,
you get to watch us go through this pain.
Yeah.
Talking about pain, that's a great segue into talking about all of the Patriots defensive players who are opting out of their, not even just defensive players, all of the Patriots that are opting out of their contract for this year. What'd you say, Pat?
Oh my fucking God.
I'm not on that wave. Believe me, I'm not on that wave. I just felt like I should say it.
What wave? I'm sorry. The bases are loaded now.
Oh.
Bases are loaded.
Yeah, Jordan.
Shit.
My bad.
And tank for Trevor.
No.
Oh.
No.
Shut up.
I don't know.
Anyway, that doesn't even deserve to be talked about.
I mean, it does. I think it's an absurd take, but it's a take that a lot of Patriots fans actually share. Like, there's a good section of Patriots fans that just want to throw away the season, get the first or second pick,
losers,
move up to wherever you need to get Lawrence, draft Lawrence, and start over. So, I don't know. This is my belief of why players are opting out. I think that Belichick told anyone on the fence, don't worry about it, opt out. I want players for a full season. If you can't give me a full season or you can't guarantee it, then just opt out now. Now, because of the contract situation with opting out for high risk or whatever, we now have Hightower for another season, and he doesn't expire this year. Same with Chung and same with everyone else. So, and all their contracts, like, the cap goes down considerably with all of them this year. So it gives us even more cap this next offseason. So, look, we always make the Patriots fans always make the in general, NFL fans always make the analogy of Belichick's playing chess and everyone else is playing checkers. But this could be another instance where Belichick just knows what's going on, and everyone else in the NFL is blind to what's happening, and we're looking at the making of a new dynasty in just a couple of years.
Wow, all right.
I like that.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
POP, the power of positivity right there. You got to look at the right side.
It's like that's definitely goes into what we hear about Belichick. Like, for as much as like a stickler and like as like borderline asshole as he is, like in terms of like on the player to coach level or whatever, he's always been very down to earth and like respectful of players' wishes and everything. So he's definitely like, if you feel like it's going to put your family at risk, like, no worries, take the season off, which I respect. Obviously Bill Belichick doesn't need to warrant any respect from a 18-year-old kid from Massachusetts, but I respect him for that. You know
what I think would be hilarious if Chung or somebody who opted out pulled a Dennis Rodman and it was like went up to Belichick and was like, "Hey, I'm opting out. I don't feel safe," and then just went to Vegas for 5 days and just disappeared. That'd be hilarious to me.
Yeah. One thing I thought was annoying was the amount of people that were ripping Hightower, Chung, Cannon, Bolden, all the players opting out. The amount of ignorance, bro, that people are showing right now for stating that they're scared, that the NFL football players are scared to play, you just need to go play, you're getting paid millions, blah blah blah, and none of them ever did any research about what the health risks for those players are. And again, the game of football, we were talking about it in the chat, is the most contact filled. If someone's going to get COVID in sports, it's going to be NFL. So, to judge a player on whether they want to opt out, for their safety reasons is so ridiculous. And if you're on the side of calling an NFL player scared or a pussy or whatever you want to categorize it as, like, you're an absolute moron. And I have no problem with saying that. I mean, it's just so annoying. I knew it was going to happen too, but not to the extent of what actually did happen.
I'm kind of going to rally off of what Jordan said. I just want people to know out there that it's calling them a bunch of babies or sissies. Or I'm not going to use the language that Jordan did.
Look, we already broke the kids barrier. It's already.
I'm going strong this episode. I'm calling them sissies and stuff like that. Dante Hightower has like a 2 or 3 week old child at home, and it's not necessarily about them being scared. They're trying to protect their families.
Yeah.
Let that said, and maybe when the 12-year-old internet trolls have a family for themselves one day, they'll realize. Clip that. That's it. I'm done. I quit. Clip that.
Jordan, that's a nasty cough you got there.
Yeah, I know. It was like COVID, dude. Jesus.
All right.
Graham's currently time stamping that one so we can go back and watch it later.
Lou Williams.
Lou
Williams is, first of all, like, I don't know whether he's the biggest idiot on the face of the planet or if he's the biggest icon that we've ever seen, because everybody's like, oh, James Harden's going to leave the bubble. J.R. Smith's going to leave. All these other, like, players that are known for being, like...
I just want you guys to know the Mets just scored. It's a 1-point game. Bases are still loaded.
We're going to ignore the fact that Anthony just said it was a 1-point game, and we're going to... I don't know what to think about Lou Williams, because he just completely left the bubble to go to this gentleman's club and just, like... It just came back, and he turned himself in, which was something that I thought was interesting. He turned himself in. Nobody snitched on him.
Not bad.
Well, yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. No player snitched on him. It was like that guy's story on Instagram or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't set a good precedent, though, for other players. Like, oh, you can leave and come back and be completely fine.
Well, he did get suspended.
Yeah. Oh, did he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's getting like... See, this is what I hate. People are
10-day quarantine.
Like, yeah, just take everything out of it and be like, look, he was told to play in the bubble. Everyone was tested. There's no fear of corona in there right now. And all he's thinking about is the dinner he wants from a plate. Like, it's extremely selfish for him.
You're thinking about the wrong menu, Jordan.
Dude, he's I mean, that was his take on Twitter, at least. So I'll go with what he says. But like, it's just, I don't know. I think it's really selfish of him. He all you need to do, bro, is just you're on the Clippers. You're looking for a title. You're maybe the best contender right now, aside from the Lakers, and you just kind of throw it all away to an extent of missing some of these first couple playing games, whatever you want to call it, for fucking wings. Like,
this dude is horny.
He did not go there for wings. I'll tell you, Jordan. He did not go there for wings. This is what we were talking about last week. They need a gentleman's club in the bubble. It would solve all the problems. It would solve any.
Dude, talk about spreading Rona quickly, Jesus.
Yeah, for real.
No, but I mean,
among others,
the bubble too, and they were kept in the bubble, it wouldn't be a problem.
But yeah, I don't know. I hate the people defending Lou Williams. Just knock it that he made a mistake and he shouldn't have done it. And then him and Kendrick Perkins had some exchange on Twitter where Kendrick Perkins said that like he was a fucking idiot and
he was like, just enjoy the memes.
Yeah, and then Lou Will claps back and says like, "This is the only thing you have on me." It's like, bro, you fucked up. Like, you're an idiot for doing this. Like, just stay. Why are you putting everyone else's like season and maybe even lives in danger for you to go do whatever the fuck you're gonna do there? I won't even specify at this point because who fucking knows?
I want to know.
We all know, Jordan. I don't know why you're denying the obvious. We all know.
Because I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'm taking what he said on Twitter to face.
Lou Williams, if you're listening to this, please, you can attack Anthony, Pat, and I all you want. But Jordan, he's good to go. Okay, so we've covered that, and now that we're clear on that one,
Hey, you got to keep the integrity. You can't be making assumptions like that.
Fair.
I was about to go full on like, yeah, I want to smoke Lou Williams. I was about to drop my Addy.
Go ahead.
I'm okay.
Flip it.
Lou, breaking news: Lou Williams leaves the bubble to beat up.
To go to Lindenhurst, New York.
Yeah.
Dwindlehurst.
He's gonna if this video ever makes it to 4chan, he'll be able to find out where you live from the stickers on your wall.
Yeah, right.
Oh man.
Nice. That
So,
makes me feel safe. 2 outs. Come on.
oh, really? We're down to it? Well, that gives me time while this
Just
is
throw
wrapping up.
Cespedes out. I had a baby. Let's go.
Game over?
Cespedes,
no,
remember
no.
we had Cespedes?
2
for
outs. Bases
half the
jacked.
season?
1-run game.
Who's
That was
up?
ridiculous.
I don't know. I hope it's not Alonso.
Yeah.
It might be though, because Cespedes might be. No, it's not. It's
Thank
Cano.
Okay. That's
Whatever.
okay. Or ground out, whatever. All right, so that gives me time. Real quick. The NHL is coming back this week, and I am absolutely stoked. I am so happy. I am more excited for this than the return of any sport that we've had so far, because I feel like they've certainly got the most unique return to play format, and I feel like the scrimmages have been really good quality.
Yep.
The scrimmages have been good quality so far. Like I think it was the Lightning and the Panthers had a scrimmage the other day, and they got in a fight in the exhibition game. Like,
Yeah.
that was awesome.
Sick.
You love to see it. And
Yeah.
Peter Mrazek, my guy from Carolina, led in 2 of the first 5 shots on goal today from the Caps. So you hate to see that, but
Yeah.
I love watching hockey. I love that it's back, and I could not be more ecstatic.
Yeah.
Right.
I watched a couple the first 2 periods ish of the Caps Canes today, and I said it in the chat. It really look. It's weird without any sport having. Let's go. That's it.
Yeah, let's go.
Atta baby. All right.
2 and 4.
That's what we like to see.
It's weird without having any fans at all. Like, everyone agrees with that. It's different for everything. But I don't know if you agree with me, Graham, but watching the game, I know they're piping in some type of sound. It's really not that much different. It's almost like you're playing away every single game. That's kind of what I compared it to with the NBA.
Mhm.
Like, there's no cheering, there's no massive cheers when you hit a big shot. Of course, like, that sucks and everything. But it's almost like, look, you're just playing away every game. Like, you just got to keep that mindset, I feel like. And if you put that in your head, like, the NHL has done a phenomenal job with how they've, done all the sounds and the way they've, like, dressed up the arena and shit. It looks sick. And yeah, it's gonna be great with them coming back. What is it, Saturday? First games?
Yeah, it's Saturday,
Yeah.
and whole big slate of games. They need to get the PA guy from the NBA to come from the NBA bubble to come up there so that they can play like the Roblox oof sound whenever somebody lays a big head down or something like that.
It's gonna be like NHL 20 or something like that.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention about the Bruins, getting more specific with them, is so they released their practice lines today, and I guess you could take practice lines with like a grain of salt. Who knows, whether those are going to stay true. But Jack Studnicka, who has been in Providence for the entire year before obviously the suspension of the season, who is arguably our number 1 prospect, maybe behind Beecher and Vakanainen, but he's definitely up there, who's been touted as someone who's going to be the Krejci replacement, the Bergeron replacement, for years to come, is now playing on the second line on the wing with Krejci and DeBrusk, which I love. And I had written an article a while back about those 3 that I just mentioned, about the prospects and how they, can help the team. And I had said just Studnicka has played all 3 positions, 4 positions. So he has a ton of versatility, and that could definitely come into play in the playoffs when they need someone to play the wing or someone to play in center. So I'm excited to see that. I think he's going to be great. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because that's definitely something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. I know the rest of y'all aren't big hockey guys, but if you don't have anything, it's that time of the night where Anthony can get into whatever the hell he wants to talk about related to wrestling.
I'll do a little bit of pro wrestling and I'll talk. I wrote my article about the big supercard with Kyle Dake and Frank Chamizo this past week. I don't know if you guys seen that, but yeah, I'm gonna get into that next. But when it comes in terms of pro wrestling, I'm having such a hard time getting into WWE's current product lately. Just dull, boring storylines. The only thing that I'm kind of interested in anymore is the Braun Strowman. And I mean, I know a lot of people hate Braun Strowman. They think he's boring and stuff right there and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm just excited to see the Fiend. But then on the flip side of that, you got a title, the Universal Championship, that's already been made an absolute joke. They've already ruined that with putting it in the hands of Goldberg twice. Yeah, twice, I believe. And I feel like it's a title. It's a world title, but they're putting it in the wrong hands, if that makes sense. You could be putting that belt on guys like Shinsuke Nakamura. You could be putting that belt on guys like, I don't even know who's on that roster anymore. Put that belt on Styles and have him do a feud with Nakamura like he did, I think, in 2017. But that was complete garbage. Just run that back. But I'm just excited to see the Fiend win a title. But then it's like, oh, it's the Universal title. If he was winning the World Heavyweight title like they did back in like 2011 when I first started watching that big gold belt, that'll make things a lot more interesting. But WWE's current product for me isn't that interesting. All Elite Wrestling, on the other hand, I just watched Dynamite before we started recording, and I was watching it a little bit. I've mentioned on Babs' live stream that Chris Jericho is my favorite wrestler ever, and he's currently there, so I'm watching that to support him. But you can just see the difference in the two products. If you watched Monday Night Raw one week, and then you watched AEW Dynamite on the following Wednesday, you can just see the difference. The wrestlers just have so much more freedom to do and say whatever they want. They're not following this strict script that's written by other people, almost like Drake's ghostwriters. I know I had to piss someone off. I'm sorry, but you could just I was listening to Jon Moxley cut a promo, and it just sounded so much more different than Dean Ambrose. Jon Moxley and Dean Ambrose are the same person, two different characters, and I just wish we can make like a clone machine and just have Jon Moxley beat the absolute crap out of Dean Ambrose, because I think the two characters are on two completely different wavelengths in my opinion. But the thing that caught my attention was MJF. I can't remember what it stands for. It's some long name, I don't know. But he's definitely one of the best heels in wrestling right now. But he just cut this amazing promo. I was on FaceTime with someone, and I was just watching in complete awe, because this guy just delivered in just the most powerful way, man, you know? And he was just crossing every boundary, because they battle with WWE's product, NXT, every Wednesday night. And they were talking about ratings war and stuff. And he was just saying why he should be the champion. And he was just given this, I can't even describe it, man. It just, words can't even describe. It was awesome. AEW needs to put the title on him as soon as possible. Pro wrestling's done. In terms of real wrestling, I kind of touched on it in my article. I'm kind of going a little long here, so I'm going to keep it short. But Flow Wrestling, get your stuff together, please. You are on the verge of making wrestling mainstream. I mean, people say it's mainstream. Fans like myself will say it's mainstream, but it's really not, because it's not. If it's not on television, people aren't going to watch it. People aren't going to subscribe and pay $15 a month for a subscription that they might not even like, you know. And by putting together a supercard like that, 5 matches with some of the best guys in the world, entertaining matches. Darian Caldwell put on an absolute show. He lost, but he's 32 years old, wrestling one of the best guys in college right now. Lost 9-2, really 5-2 if he didn't go for a big move at the end to get put on his back, but that's a story for another time. But I mentioned it in my article, the Flow Wrestling servers could not handle that many people being on the site at the same time, and it crashed. But thank God they were able to identify the issue right away, and they got on it, they fixed it. But that's definitely something for them to work on. Obviously, it's their first time doing something like that, so it's not going to be flawless, but it's a huge step in the right direction for them as a brand and growing a little bit, and USA Wrestling, because if these guys are competing against each other all the time, it's only going to make them better. You can only get better by wrestling the best guys, and I know that from experience, getting beat up by the best guys in the room. And that about does it for me. Flo, get your crap together. I'm a paying customer.
I'm still in shambles over the Drake comment.
I was watching Graham that whole time after you made that comment. He was sitting there looking so just, I don't even know the word for it.
I had to put it in terms that he would understand.
Wow.
Big Drake guy.
Top 10 this week.
That's coming from a metalhead. That's coming from someone who listens to Metallica still.
I mean, you're not like a lost, I don't even know the word. You're not necessarily a minority there. Like, Metallica still has a pretty big following, but that's besides the point.
No, but I listened to some pretty crazy stuff. So, but let's not get into that. Well, that's for after.
Yeah. That's all fair stuff. This week we're going back to football. Um, Pat, where did you come from?
You look like the Undertaker sitting up.
He just dipped off the screen and then sat back up.
Did you see me? I was sitting back in my chair. I'm tired.
You look like the Undertaker.
I might just do my recordings back here from now on.
All right, list this week.
Top 10. We're going back to the NFL.
Me coming out of the grave.
Going back to the NFL. The one offensive position player that we haven't covered yet in terms of all-time rankings. We've done quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, but this week we have tight ends, capping everything off. And this one was
next week.
offensive guards.
Hell no.
This list was kind of tough. It wasn't one of the hardest ones we've done, but ordering it was tough. Like figuring out who should be on my list, I feel like that was pretty easy. But then getting into the order and comparing, because the thing is that so many of the great tight ends played in completely different eras, and for some of them it
The
was
position
still
has changed.
exactly. For some of them it was still a running game when they played. For some of them the tight end didn't get targets, and for some of them they're playing now, and it's the modern era, and you don't know how their stats compare to those that played 40 years ago. So it's all jumbled up, even more so for the tight end position than it is for the quarterback or the wide receiver position. So if we want to jump right into it, Pat, you can go ahead and give your honorable mentions if you have any.
I have two, which are actually no, I have one. Sorry, John Mackey, honorable mention.
Damn.
All right.
He's in a decent spot on my list, but
Yeah, he's in.
He was-
All right. Yeah, go ahead. Who's gonna say this? Is that Graham?
who wants next?
I thought that when I looked at Mackey, I didn't think that his numbers were like, they weren't wowing.
Yeah,
Right?
But it's like I said, the era that he played in. So
Yeah.
he helped
Well,
revolutionize the position. That's why you got to give him credit.
yeah, and I completely get that. I only have one honorable mention as well, and my honorable mention is Greg Olson.
Okay.
Very underrated in terms of tight ends, and people think that because he's fallen off so much. But when you look at his stats, like he puts up touchdowns.
By Jordan.
Yeah, right.
I didn't even think that take was that bad.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
I'm waiting for Jordan to come back.
I think he was genuinely doing something else actually.
He just left. He got up out of his chair and left.
Computer almost died, bro.
Oh, I thought you were getting up like you did. Have a notice. Okay, so
Sorry.
for those of you that are, Jordan's computer just completely hit the stanky leg, and the recording stopped because he was the one who was recording the call. So if the audio sounds a little bit different, that's why. I completely forgot where we were when we were talking about. Oh yeah, Greg Olson underrated. Go ahead, Anthony.
What was I saying? Okay,
Your 3 honorable mentions. Yeah.
now my computer's completely bugging, so I'm just gonna fix that real quick. Get my AirPods back on this, but I'm gonna continue anyway. My audio might sound a little off. So honorable mentions, I have 3, and I have a little bit of a shout out. My AirPod just connected there, so I just wanted to, so if it sounded off. Anyways, I'm talking too much. Honorable mentions, I have Jeremy Shockey, I have Greg Olson, like Graham mentioned, and Dallas Clark. And as a bit of a shout out, I have Vernon Davis. He wasn't in my initial plan to make the list, and I don't think he ever was going to make the list, but I just think he's one of the most athletic tight ends ever, and I don't think he gets enough credit for what he's done with the 49ers and the who else did he play for?
The
Redskins.
Team.
No, before the Redskins, I think he played for someone else.
Broncos?
No, never mind that. I might be thinking of someone else, but yeah, his days on the Niners are definitely very underappreciated, and they're very forgotten. So I wanted to give him a little shout out.
Yeah.
That's fair.
All right. I only have 2. I got Jackie Smith and Vernon Davis. That's it.
Big talker. All right.
I don't really. I mean, Anthony, kind of.
I want to see. what Jordan's got. So Jordan, if you want to go ahead with 10 to 6, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
All right. So
This is my
starting
favorite
off,
part of every week. This is
at
my
num-
favorite part of every week. There are 167 hours in each week, but these 5 minutes are
oh
what I
yeah,
live
really?
for.
Damn.
167 wouldn't it be an even number?
No, because it's 7 days.
This isn't a. Keep going.
Oh yeah. Wouldn't it end in a 1 because it'd be 24 hours times 7? Oh wait, that's 20. That would be 8. It would end in an 8. Okay.
We're
Y'all
already on
behind me
schedule,
way
boys.
too
All right,
much.
let's go. So number 10, I have Jimmy Graham. Number 9, I've got Jason Witten. Number 8, I got Ditka. 7, I have Casper. 6, I have Ozzie Newsome. That's it.
Who's got next?
Jimmy Graham. Wow. Okay.
I knew that was coming.
No. I
You
just
can rate them. Go ahead.
I'm glad you cut out for that.
Cut me off. Yeah, no, I didn't cut out. I just stopped talking.
Okay, so Jimmy Graham, he was a beast when he was on the Saints.
Hmm.
But the thing for me is that he's only got he was only dominant for 3 years. He was only dominant for 3 years before he fell off. Because when he came into the league as a rookie, he was pretty good, and then he broke onto the scene for a couple years right when, around 2013, I think that was the year he had his first team AP All-Pro.
Yeah.
And then after that, he fell off quick once he got traded to Green Bay.
I think he gets overrated a lot, where he gets put higher than 10 when he doesn't deserve it. Gets put over guys like Ditka, where I would agree with you that he hadn't had some illustrious career where he has been consistent for 10 years.
Yeah.
But with his time in New Orleans, he had three Pro Bowls. He was selected to the all first team once, like you said. But I mean, his yards and his touchdowns per season. I mean,
They're there.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 2 1,000-yard seasons and then a 982 and an 889 with his time in New Orleans, with 10, 16, 9, and 11 for touchdowns. I mean,
Yeah.
During his time, he's almost like a mini Gronk, and he was so fucking good when he was there.
But his time wasn't long enough to me.
Sure, that's that's fine. I think that's totally reasonable. That's why I put him at 10. He
That's fair.
just barely slipped in my list.
I'll go ahead next then. At number 10, I've got Mike Ditka. Number 9, I've got Dave Casper. Number 8, John Mackey. Number 7, Ozzie Newsome, and number 6, I've got Jason Witten.
I can roll with that, honestly.
What you got, Anthony?
Okay, so I'm just gonna go off and say my criteria. I don't know how you guys did it, but I went off the stats. Stats was big for me, and like we mentioned before, the position of tight end has changed so much over the years. So I implemented how they revolutionized the position, or how much of an impact they made on their position
That's
at
what you should
a
have.
given time.
Yeah.
And dominance kind of really didn't play an effect, because I think my top 2 would have been a little different if I implemented dominance.
Uh-oh.
So
I can already
Number
tell I'm
9.
going to be so mad at Jordan.
Number
no,
9.
bro.
Number 9. Number 10, I have Mike Ditka. Number 9, I have Dave Casper. 8, Jason Witten. 7, John Mackey. 6, Ozzie Newsome.
A smart man. Okay, so I'll let
You guys
Pat
were in
go ahead.
cahoots. You guys were in cahoots for the
We
call.
really weren't. We were talking about Warzone and the Red Sox. I'll let Pat go ahead, but I have something to say about Anthony's list once Pat finishes up.
All right. So, we already gave our mention. I have Jimmy Graham at 10. Greg Olson at 9.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, I
I
don't know.
respect it.
I don't know if it's a good idea, but I'll roll with it.
No. Just stand by. Stand by that
That's
shit.
cool.
8, I have Ozzie Newsome. 7, I got Dave Casper. And 6, I've got Mike Ditka.
Now that's high for Ditka, because I feel like when people think of Mike Ditka, they think of the coach, and I know Graham was going to get onto that. We're on the same wavelength like that. But I feel, because they say, oh, Ditka won 2 Super Bowls. He won 1 as a player. I think he won Super Bowl 6 or some crazy
Yeah,
something
6.
like that. 6, but is it the Cowboys or the Colts?
Yeah,
I think it was the Cowboys. And he won it as the head coach of the '85 Bears, and that's what people know him as. They know him as the guy in that ugly sweater on the sideline. They don't think of the tight end, Mike Ditka.
Here's the thing, though, too. I want to say, in his flavor, if you will.
I can't wait for this.
Similar to, John Mackey was an honorable mention of mine, but I have the stats right here. I'll defend my case. Mike Ditka played before John Mackey, and he has more yards receiving, and more touchdowns. So if you want to look at a pioneer for the tight end position in terms of being a receiver,
Boom.
don't look any further than Mike Ditka.
Boom.
Okay, but
Okay.
If
I
Sam
mean-
Candy and Nuts Graham, I don't know the rest of the phrase, but there's something to go along with that.
That's
Ditka
good.
also played more games than Mackey did.
There's a reason for that. I give him credit for
Not
playing
bad.
more games.
Ooh.
Give him credit for playing.
Comes
more
back
games.
with the longevity.
Okay, but Mackey had 3 first-team All-Pros in his shortened career, and Ditka only had 2 in his longer career.
Will Pat respond?
You know what? Maybe the judges were off a perk or something.
30s and the 60s. All right. So
That's a good
so
end to a debate.
I mess with your list, Anthony, but my only problem is that I think you've got Witten too low, especially compared to Ozzie Newsome. Because when I was making my list at first, I didn't even have Jason Witten on my list because I overlooked him. But then when you look at his numbers, like I've got him right here, he has played more games at the tight end position than almost anybody on this list. 239 games played. That's a lot. But he's got 1,215 catches, and he is one of only 2 tight ends with over 1,000 catches. Only 2. So that's ridiculous in its own right. He's got almost 13,000 yards. He'll trip that this season with the Raiders, and he's got 72 touchdowns. Like nobody else on this list, except for maybe nobody on this list outside of my top 5 has put up numbers like that. And so
I'll give you that.
even when you consider the fact that he didn't revolutionize the tight end position, he didn't ever win a Super Bowl. But
Not going to.
I don't think that's
Don't
going
worry about it.
to – yeah, it's not going to happen. But, yeah, I don't think you can deny the fact that the numbers that he's put up are crazy.
I mean, I can see the argument on my list because I go Witten, Mackey, Newsome.
Mm-hmm.
I can see the argument putting him over Mackey, and I'll give you that. In terms of stats and accomplishments, Witten wipes the floor with everyone in the bottom half of the
Yeah,
list.
in the bottom half, yeah.
But I feel like Ozzie Newsome really made the tight end position cool again in the 90s. I think he played in the 90s. It was him and Shannon Sharp, who we will get to. Those were the two. Those were the top 2 guys at the tight end position back in that decade. And I feel like Jason Witten has kind of been overshadowed by the rise of the tight end position. He's kind of fallen off because you've had guys like Greg Olsen had their dominant years. Gronk had the dominant years. Zach Ertz, Travis Kelce, George. I can go on and on about the tight ends who have come out and really shined over the last decade and all of Jason Witten's career. Yeah, he's had his time, but I feel like in terms of revolutionizing the position, like I said, you got to give the nod to Newsome.
Guys, I made an oopsie.
Okay.
He forgot one of the.
He forgot Sharp.
No, so I had this person on my list, and then I was going to move them, and I forgot to put them back in.
Okay.
But now I don't
Just
know.
run through the whole list. Pat, go first. Run through your whole list, bottom to top.
All right, so this is what I have right now, and you'll see who I'm missing once I get through it. At 5, I have Jason Witten. At 4, I have Shannon Sharp. At 3, I have Antonio Gates. At 2, I have Gronkowski, and at 1, I have
Kellen Winslow.
Kellen Winslow, yeah, which I originally had him at 4 behind Tony Gonzalez. So
Wait. 4
You mean
behind.
Antonio Gates?
behind Antonio Gates. Yeah.
I was like, if you have Gonzalez at 3,
So my real top 5 would be Shannon Sharp, Kellen Winslow, Antonio Brown.
Oh my God, Pat, are you okay?
It's 11:18 here.
I'm really in a funk.
what were you doing before we recorded, bro?
You don't want to know.
Oh no.
Antonio Gates at 3, Gronk at 2, Tony Gonzalez at 1. I'm a mess. Just move on.
So that's Sharp, Winslow, Gates, Gronk, Gonzalez is your top 5 in that order.
Correct.
A very smart man, because that's verbatim my top 5.
Boom.
Retweet.
That's all the
I
validation.
have the same top 5.
Oh, are you serious?
I have the same top 5.
Jordan, cap it off.
Sharp,
Cap it
Winslow,
off.
Gates,
All right,
Gronk.
I'll cap it
Wait.
off here.
Wait, Sharp, Winslow, Gates, Gronk, Gonzalez, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making
Jordan,
sure
4
because I got
for
the same
4
one.
for 4.
So here's the
All
thing.
right, Jordan.
Oh no.
Oh, ready to shatter
So
our
here's the
dreams. No.
Sharp at 5. Winslow at 4.
Okay.
Gates at 3.
He's going to put Gronk at 1.
My guy, Tony Gonzalez, just misses the 1
Bruh.
I'm fine with that.
And Gronkowski comes in at the 1 spot. The greatest tight end, the most powerful tight end to ever play the game.
I'm fine with
Takes
that.
the
So
1
you're-
spot. Just
So when it comes to
barely.
everything, when it comes
So here's my thing.
overall,
I've got a theory for you guys. I didn't do this without thinking about it, right? Because I know I was going to get shit for it, all right? Here's my thing. Gronk was you guys all agree. Gronk was dominant, was one of the most dominant players ever during the time he played.
the most dominant tight end ever.
He's
I'll give him that.
arguably the most dominant player in NFL history at his position.
So
Yeah.
here's what I'll say to that. Shaquille O'Neal in basketball is considered, for the time he played with the Lakers, the most dominant, if not one of the most dominant players in NBA history.
They made jerseys about it. The Lakers wear their city jersey is called most dominant ever edition. Yeah.
So Shaq is considered, let's say, the most dominant player ever. Maybe you could have like Michael Jordan or Kareem, but it's probably Shaq, right?
Yeah.
He was dominant for 5-ish years with the Lakers, winning 3 titles, won an MVP, could have won another one. I think that is directly relatable with Gronk in the sense that he wasn't great like some of these tight ends were. Like Tony Gonzalez was for 10 years or so, or however long he played. But for the time that he played, he engraved himself in NFL history as the most dominant player ever, winning through 3 Super Bowls, obviously multiple Pro Bowls. I'm not sure exactly how many All-Pros. And he took the NFL by storm. And I'm not just saying this because, look, there's probably a little bit of Patriots bias in it. But I think there's a valid argument to be made that if you rank Shaq high because of his dominance, which is what most people do in terms of an NBA list, there shouldn't really be a huge argument against why Gronk is won over Tony Gonzalez. Just because whenever you make an argument of Shaq over a center or Shaq over a player, you say, well, Shaq was so dominant during this time and he did this and he did that. You can make the same argument with Gronk over Tony G.
Okay, so here's what I have to say to that, because you're right. You're right. Gronk was incredibly dominant. He's got 4 first-team All-Pros compared to Tony's 6. But here's the thing. Tony Gonzalez played over double the amount of games that Gronk has played in his career. His career was twice as long as Gronk's was. And Gonzalez was consistent throughout the entire thing, from his rookie year with the Chiefs all the way to when he retired with the Falcons. I mean, he dropped off a little bit at the end of his Falcons run, but he was still a great tight end, one of the tops in the league at the point when he retired. But by that logic, if you double Gronk's stats, if you just multiply them by 2, if Gronk had the same longevity over the same career length with the same amount of games played as Tony Gonzalez had, Gronk's stats would blow Tony's out of the water. Because Tony retired with 111 touchdowns over 270 games played. Gronk already has 79 with less than half of the games played that Tony has. So he would be absolutely way past Tony in that respect if he played the same length. Same thing with yards. The yards would be comparable, and catches, Tony would still have him beat in terms of receptions if you doubled Gronk's stats.
Yeah.
But it's close. And so my thing is, this is the same reason why I have Tom Brady at number 1 on my all-time quarterbacks list. He's been so great for so long. And it's the argument.
As well.
Exactly.
Not just based off the rings.
See, and I think that's a fine argument. But the thing that I would come back with that is that Tom Brady has not only been great for so long, he's been dominant for 20 years. He's been as dominant a quarterback has ever been for 20 years. I don't think Tony Gonzalez dominated the NFL just like how Tom Brady's dominated the NFL for 20 years. That would be my argument.
That's fair. So it's just an argument of longevity versus dominant.
Yeah.
But when we go back to when we did running backs, I didn't have Terrell Davis on my list because he played in the NFL for 6 years? He was a beast when he played. He had the ring, but he didn't have the longevity. So if I keep Terrell Davis off my list for longevity purposes, I can't put Gronk over Tony.
That's fair. Well, and I think Michael Jordan and LeBron get this argument a lot of LeBron's going to be playing for 20 years, 20 plus years. MJ, played for, I don't know, when he was
17, I want
drafted,
to say.
84. Yeah, 17 or something. LeBron's going to have probably 6, 7, 8 years on him. He's going to pass him in points. He's going to pass, he's going to pass
He
him in
already
every
did.
category. Yeah. So a lot of LeBron fans use that argument of he has more this, he has more that. And I think the MJ fans can come back and say, well, look, if he were to have played 4 more seasons, 5 more seasons, he would have passed LeBron, which I don't like that argument. I'm not trying to use that with Gronk. I literally just think that Gronk's dominance during his 10-year, 8-year career or so, with having 4 1,000-yard seasons, multiple 10-plus touchdown seasons, he was the most feared receiver in the entire league for at least 5 or 6 years, and then maybe I wouldn't even say towards the end he trailed off. He's still that big body that you had to watch for. So again, I'm not saying he's like miles ahead of Tony Gonzalez. It's like really a back and forth, but I do think Gronk's dominance during his time in his career gives him the advantage. And who knows what's to come this season? And
That's a fair point.
If he somehow bounces back and
It's subject
grabs
to change.
Yeah, it is.
You convinced me, Jordan. I'm gonna make an amendment to my list.
Let's go.
Wow! No
Stop
way!
I did my job.
It all comes down. It doesn't all come down to this, but this is the main thing. All right, let's go to Tony Gonzalez's. Actually, no. I gotta do this first. Rob Gronkowski's best statistical postseason: 17 receptions, 258 yards, 3 touchdowns in 3 games. Tony Gonzalez's all-time playoff stats. I know Gronk is on the Patriots, but Tony Gonzalez, 7 games, 30 receptions, 286 yards, 4 touchdowns.
That's not even fair.
Numbers.
It's not a fair.
That's not a fair comparison because Tony Gonzalez. Can you name who Tony Gonzalez's quarterback was when he played with the Chiefs? Because I can't either.
No, but I can name who it was when he played with the Falcons. It was Matt Ryan.
Because Matt Ryan's a bum.
Hey.
But even still,
quarterback in the league
even beyond the postseason, if you're asking me, I want a tight end to make 1 catch or to have for 1 game or to even have for 1 season, who would I rather have? Tony Gonzalez or Rob Gronkowski? I'm picking Gronk.
That's not what this is about.
Look,
I'm gonna hop on.
Go ahead, Anthony. Go ahead.
I'm gonna hop on Graham. I'm gonna back him up a little bit. If we were comparing what did Gronk play? 8 seasons, 9 seasons before he came. 8 years.
It's gonna be 9.
Yeah, this is about to be his 9th year.
Yeah.
We're gonna take Gronk's first 8 years, right, or his only 8 years, and we'll take Tony Gonzalez's first 8 years in the league. Gronk honestly beats him in that retrospect, but the fact that Gonzalez played so much longer, and he, as Graham said, he was consistent in those years that he's played. So you got to give him the nod there. But if Gronk played, if he didn't retire at all, right? So say Gronk plays the Patriots this season. I don't know. He gets traded to Tampa Bay. For this upcoming season. So you have I'm just gonna go based off of what's going on now to get Gronk in Tampa Bay with Brady. So you got Gronk in there now. So if he plays for as long as Gonzalez did, does he pass him? And I think it depends because we saw the Gronk drop off in his last season with the Patriots. So would that decline have continued to go downhill, or would he have bounced back? We're never going to know that. So as of right now, you got to give the nod to Gonzalez.
Yeah, I think at this point, like if you were to come back in 10 years, if Gronk keeps playing, who knows how long he plays for the Buccaneers? Who knows? He could
I'd say 2 years tops.
He could play 2 years. He could literally just play until Tom retires and then retire right with him, which I think is a very likely scenario. But if Gronk continues to play at the level that he's been playing for the rest of his career and plays a similar career length as Tony Gonzalez, or even like Ozzie Newsome or Mike Ditka, who didn't quite have 200 games played, even somebody like them. If he were to play at the same level, he probably passes Tony Gonzalez for me. But Gronk just hasn't played long enough. He hasn't even played for an entire decade, and Tony played for 2.
But the problem I have with that is there would be a certain section of people. I'm not saying you're in it. I don't know if you are in it. If Gronk came back and played for 5 years and he was an average tight end, people would would portray that as a knock on Gronk and knock him further down the list.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I wouldn't do that.
And that's good. But I know there would be people would look at the years that he played and say, look, if he were to have played 3 or 4 more years in comparison to Gonzalez, he still wouldn't be to where Gonzalez would be. So to me, Gronk was met with too many injuries. Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens this year. I don't know if he'll perform well. It's kind of a question mark. But I almost don't think it's necessary for him to come back and prove that he's better than Tony G. And I think me and Pat have both had Shaq higher on our all-time centers list. So I think it does have to do with dominance. I think there's a little bit more value to you guys in longevity and consistency over a certain period of time. While the dominance in the league and in a shorter period of time maybe holds more weight for me and Pat, which I think is the only debate there, because we all agreed. Who was more consistent for a long period of time? Obviously, it's Tony G. Who was more dominant during their period of time? It was Gronk. So it's like it's kind of just like, which one do you value more? It's really not like it's not a statistical argument. I feel like just because the years that they played separated them so considerably. So I think it's just which one do you value more?
Well, another thing I want to put out there before we wrap things up, I want to have like a final statement almost, is that I think that part of the reason that obviously, injuries, they go beyond just the game, I guess. They can just be like someone's physiology can really factor into them being injury prone. But the reason I think Gronk's career has been, cut short, obviously with all these injuries, is the fact that he was so dominant, and the fact that you need 2 or 3 guys to take him down, going for his knees, going for his head, going for these cheap shots on him. Guys that, Tony Gonzalez wasn't getting that kind of attention. I didn't watch him, but he wasn't getting triple teamed and double teamed all the time. And then
that was the only way to stop Gronk.
Right. On the other side, on the other side of things, I know we're talking about the postseason. Obviously, Gronk's on the Patriots, but look back to Super Bowl 49. They don't win that game without Gronk. What do they have? 2 touchdowns?
Same thing with 53. I'll give you that.
Right. 50. Yeah. And then, I don't think Tony Gonzalez really had the impact that Gronk had on a single game, on a single play. You didn't know that just throwing it up to this one guy in single coverage, he was going to come down with it every single time. So I attribute that. It's not like a knock on Tony Gonzalez, really. It's more of just me attributing, Gronk's talents and ability to him. But
one thing I wanted, go ahead, Graham.
The year when the Falcons made the NFC Championship game against the 49ers, I forget which Super Bowl that was. It was the year
47.
47, yeah. It was the year with the Joe Flacco Super Bowl. But Tony Gonzalez was great over that postseason. He was very, very good. Those Falcons teams were pretty good. Yeah. Because that was back when they had Roddy White, and I don't think Julio had come into the league yet, but if he had, he was pretty young.
Steven Jackson was on that team.
Steven Jackson, yep. Those Falcons teams were good, but Tony Gonzalez helped them out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and so
he did what was in his power.
Part of it is the product of his quarterbacks, because at the time when he played with the Falcons, Matt Ryan wasn't what he is now. And when he played with the Chiefs, he never really had anybody consistently. So I think if you give Tony Gonzalez, if you give him Tom Brady for his entire career, I think that he's even better than what he is now. Tony Gonzalez would have been equally dominant as Gronk was in his prime if he had Tom Brady as his quarterback instead of Matt Ryan and whoever the heck he had on the Chiefs. That's my take.
And I think that's a fair take. But the thing that I would say to that is Gronk did most of his damage
after the
catch.
I'll give you that.
It's almost like Tony Gonzalez maybe was more known for his route running and his ability to get open, where Gronk was just like, throw it to me up high with the guy draped on top of me. I'll throw him off and I'll go for another 20 yards, but while another guy's trying to tackle me. So it's almost like you could almost make the argument where, like, if you have any quarterback in history who can hit a target, Gronk has the same success. Maybe not Super Bowl success, but same success in terms of statistics, yards, touchdowns, just because of he wasn't some guy where he's not, obviously like a receiver where you've got to get perfect balls thrown to him. It was like, here, dump it off on a slant route, dump it off on a drag route. I'll just take off down the field and power through. So you could almost make the argument that Gronk didn't need Brady.
That's interesting. I've never even thought about that. That's fair.
Yeah. that was quite a debate. It was like a 20-minute thing.
Yeah. I was gonna jump in there, but you guys kept going at it because I was gonna say something about I don't even know at this point because I completely lost it. I completely lost that train of thought.
Well,
It had to do with
hopefully
it
we'll
had
have
to do with Gronk
some
and his
debate.
if he played his years.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's like fair. I mean, there's not. That's an argument. Like that's not. It's not really an argumentative argument
got
of
it.
like. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when you say people would knock Gronk if he played another 4 or 5 years, and he played like an average level, people would knock him because Gronk has set the bar so high just for being Gronk, and you mentioned it. It's
Good
basically, throw ball up to Gronk, Gronk catch ball, Gronk run downfield, there's 3 guys trying to tackle him, He kind of, because teams would have to game plan against him specifically.
Yeah.
And they still couldn't stop him. Like you said, they had to take the cheap hits out of him. You had to take him out at the knees, hit him in the head, rough him up a little bit. And I don't know. I feel like if you can't knock him. You can't. Yeah. I know I tried going off on something there. I couldn't really collect my thoughts, but you can't knock him because I don't even know.
This is my final thought. I'll say on this is that my final statement would be Brady needed Gronk more than Gronk needed Brady, and I think that sums it up pretty well. That Gronk didn't need the best quarterback of all time to succeed.
It helped,
but Brady needed.
It really helped.
The best. It definitely. I mean, I think it helped to an extent, but again, aside from Super Bowls, I don't see him having that much different success if he has Matt Ryan. I just don't.
I think Jordan's got a point there. I'll give him that. I still value Tony Gonzalez's body of work more than Gronk's.
For sure.
But I can't deny that the points that you're making are sound.
Yeah. And it's so the Shaq comparison that I made is like. The way that they handle themselves with Gronk's kind of like free range, do whatever he wants, kind of attitude was very similar to Shaq's. And a lot of people attribute to Shaq's attitude to the reason why he still isn't, playing today not playing today, but playing 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And I think you could say the same thing about Gronk. If he was maybe took care of his body a bit more, not necessarily, he was like ridiculously athletic and stuff, but who knows, was he doing the right stuff for injuries in the off season? Was he being kind of careless on the field of just like not going out of bounds when he could and trying to fight for more yards? So I think they're like very similar in how they played and like how their careers are interpreted by, different, sports fans.
Yeah. There's not much else you can say about it. I know that as we get into our closing thoughts,
we really milked this down to like it's core.
I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen from the beginning of the episode. I knew that Jordan was going to have it. Was going to have Gronk higher.
See, at first, I almost thought because normally you guys rank. I feel like you guys have a little bit more of like I'm going to rank like the hometown players a little bit higher, like with Bill Russell and stuff. Like okay. And on the centers list, you have Bill Russell at what, 2, 3? And I didn't have.
Well, okay, I've changed my stance since we made that list.
Okay.
We covered that last week.
Yeah, and I thought it was kind of gonna be the same thing where like I didn't have Gronk at 1, and you guys had Gronk at 1, and I was like, oh, here we go. Like I'm gonna get ripped by the people in the comments, but the tides have turned.
Oh well. Well, I know that Anthony has a very special close this week, so he can go ahead and get into that.
So as of late, my town of Lindenhurst has really been rallying behind a buddy of mine by the name of Jared Barber. I would say he was a friend of mine. We hung out for a period of time, and he's just been fighting like a motherfucker lately. Yeah, I said it there. But this kid really deserves it. One of the toughest kids I know, and he's really fighting right now. He's in the hospital or whatever, and he's just learning how to do basic things again, things we take for granted. And I just wanted to use my platform here that we have at Ride the Wave Media to kind of put that out there. We've raised over 20,000. Not me myself, but the town of Lindenhurst has raised over $20,000 already for him for his medical bills and stuff. So I'm gonna have Jordan attach a little link in the description if you guys want to go donate to that. Anything, I'm telling you, anything works. I don't know if Jared really knows because I haven't talked to him in a really long time. If he knows I'm really doing any of this stuff. So if any of your family sees this, just know we're all Me, myself, and all of us that ride the Wave Media are behind you, bud.
Well said.
I don't think any of us should follow that. I think that about wraps it up.
That'll end it right there. Yeah, we'll throw a link down below, and we'll probably have something on the main page when
I'll ask
our
back,
podcast gets posted. So look for that, and yeah.
All right. Appreciate the listen, guys. We'll be back at it next week, coming at you with another list. If you've got something, we created a new Instagram account. So follow us on Instagram at New Guys Pod if you're listening, or at New Guys Podcast. I can't remember. It should come up if you follow Ride the Wave. Yeah, New Guys Pod. So follow us and drop a follow. And if you want, we are taking requests for future top 10 lists all the time. Ideas are always accepted. So hit us in the DMs if you've got something that you want us to cover in a future episode. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Deuces.
Peace.
Peace.